Hi, John with padprinters.com. I'm going to show you how to load your Tosh machine with the ink cups and cliches. So we're talking about the Micro 90 here. I have two different kinds of cliche holders. This is what is called the integrated non-magnetic cliche holder. This is on the two-color version of the machine. That means integrated, it means that it's on a dovetail, so it slides in and it's actually integrated with the X, Y, and rotational movements in the machine. There are two pins here, as you can see. Perhaps there's a elongated pin and a round one, and there are magnets located in the corners to help hold the cliche down. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that this surface is clean. You don't want any debris on here, no tape, no ink, no eyelashes, no hairs from your beard, because all those can cause a problem. So you make sure that this is clean, make sure that the back of your photopolymer or thin steel cliche is clean. And then I usually start with the round hole going onto the pin, rotate it over, and bring it down. And you'll see that this on the non-magnetic or on the integrated one, the pins are pressed in, and these are a little different. They're an assembly that uses screws. So your cliche is on that one. This is the Micro 91 color. This is the non-magnetic cliche holder. They call it non-magnetic because it still has magnets, but there's only two. And the pins, again, you want to make sure this is completely clean. You want to make sure that the back of your photopolymer or thin steel cliche is completely clean. And then starting with the round hole on the pin here, press it on, rotate it over onto that one. And you'll notice when the cliches are new, the first time you pop them on, you might get a little piece of polymer, red material or green, depending on the type of plate. And that's normal. You want them to fit tight so that they're not moving around. You can use the caps on these. There are caps and screws that you can use on these pins. I prefer not to use them. One important note when you're using the non-magnetic cliche holder like this that has the pins that are assembly, is that you want to make sure that they're pushed in flush or below the surface of the plate. I'll explain that more in detail a little bit later. So we're setting up a one color Micro 90 today, this guy. The one color version of the Micro 90, if you're running jobs that require plates that you want to last for 1,000,000 impressions, you can use just a regular thick steel plate instead of this holder and a photopolymer or thin steel. So my cliche is prepared. I have my Tosh ink cup. I want to make sure my filler or breather cap on the top is in there. My doctor ring is installed. There's an O-ring under there. So I'm taking the ink that we mixed up previously in another video, and I'm just going to pour it right in. You'll notice what I've done here is I've indicated with some red marker. The bottom of that red line is ideally where you want your ink cup to be filled up to. So the ink cup should be filled on any Tosh machine about 3/4 of the way. People tend to want to skip on ink because they say, well, I'm only going to run 20 parts or 200 parts or whatever. And the reality of the situation is that ink acts like a lubricant. So if you don't put enough ink in your ink cup, you are going to have problems with the ink cup doctoring the surface of the cliche, and you're going to have resulting problems with the quality of your print. So it's very important that you follow our recommendations in getting an adequate amount of ink into the ink cups. When you call, if you're having problems, that's the first thing we're going to ask is how much is in there. So you can see that is full up to the bottom or midway up the red mark that I put in the ink cup for reference. So I have my ink cup now. I take my cliche holder and holding my ink cup, I just rock that over until the magnets have made contact, and I look to see, make sure it's on the plate, which it is, and then I can flip it over safely, and now I'm ready to load that into the machine. So taking it to load it into the machine, we come over here to the Micro 90. You have the cliche support, you have a front guide, side guides on the right. You want to load from the right and push it over, to the guides on the left. So you set it in here, slide it over, and then using a 5mm wrench, you come to this keyway back here, and you turn that screw clockwise. And what that's going to do is it pushes this little keyway piece of metal up and pushes your cliche forward so it's locked in place on the holder. Then the next thing you need to do is actuate your pressure pin down, and if you look on the side, there's a little detent. The button, there's an up position held in place by a magnet and a lower position that you're going to come down, and you want to make sure that you hear that pop and you get that good engagement in there. You'll notice that on the bottom of this pin right here, if you can see it, there's a little clear plastic bushing on the pin. That can come off, it shouldn't, but you want to make sure that that doesn't go missing on your machine. If it does, order another one. That's important to have on the bottom of the pressure pin. So the ink cup is now installed. My pressure pin is fully engaged. It's all the way down there, I can see. Nothing sticking up right here. So that ink cup is installed and we're ready to go. So that's ink cup installation. Thanks.